Almost 10% of people in the US have a personality disorder, and far more score high on single personality traits such as narcissism, emotional volatility, and attention seeking. When people score high on more than one of them, that's what we can call their behavior toxic. Toxic people can be very charming, charismatic, and interesting, at least in the beginning. So they share some of the same personality traits as people with certain personality disorders. The cool thing about that is that science gives us a list of traits to look out for. So here, the 8 most common behaviors that signal you're dealing with a toxic person. They are rank ordered, so the first ones are more common. The first one is shifting the blame. This is a very common narcissistic trait. It essentially means that they always find a way to make things your fault, even when they're obviously not. So maybe you ask, hey, why didn't you text me back last night? And they go, that's a little clingy, honestly. That's a turn off for me. And now you're apologizing for being confused. So these types of situations is something to really look out for. They're very common. The next one is playing the victim. There's a big overlap with borderline personality disorder and narcissistic personality disorder here. It essentially means that they flip every situation to make it seem like you hurt them. So if you say something like, it really sucked that you made fun of me in front of everyone, and they'll reply something like, I can't believe you're accusing me of that. That's not what I meant, and you know that. And before you know it, you're comforting them. Sounds familiar? I'm Asger, this is Hard Love Theory. This channel is all about the unique challenges men face today. If that resonates, please subscribe. Well, now, thanks. Next one is a personal favorite of mine, splitting. This is also sometimes called black and white thinking or all or nothing thinking. This is very, very frequent in people with borderline traits. It means that people are divided into either being perfect or horrible. There's no in between. An example could be you hear them talk about someone like a family member in all black and white terms. Oh, my dad, he always lies. No, I cut all ties with him. And other friends are described as saints. So far that sounds pretty normal, right? But the problem starts when they say something like, oh, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Because that's when you start thinking to yourself, well, am I still the good guy tomorrow? And this is so dangerous because if you notice how others fall in and out of their grace, go from being the saint to being the devil, you unconsciously realize that it's really only a matter of time before that happens to you. And that's when you start modifying your behavior, right? You try really hard to be so good to them so you don't fall out of their grace. So now you're censoring yourself, you're walking on eggshells, and you're actually, after a little while, typically living in a constant state of anxiety. When are they going to explode? When am I going to be the bad guy? This is very dangerous, and it's actually, thank God, pretty easy to spot in others if you look out for it. Just listen to how they talk about other people. Next one, also a personal favorite of mine, gaslighting. Now this is done consciously. It is oftentimes associated with narcissistic manipulation, but it also is something, unfortunately, that happens unconsciously. It essentially means that you start questioning your own actions, memory, or feelings. So an example could be something like you tell your partner, hey, I felt a little dismissed yesterday when you interrupted me in front of your friends. And they pause and say, oh my God, you're always so dramatic. No one else saw it that way. This is just in your head. And you go from being upset, a little angry with them perhaps, to being embarrassed for even bringing it up. Oh my God, I can't believe I guess I misunderstood the situation, right? And again, the next time you're in a situation like this where something bothers you, it stings a little bit, you keep it to yourself. And a few months down the line, you are apologizing for being too sensitive. And you start questioning, maybe I am too sensitive. But in reality, of course, you were just being honest. You were trying to communicate how you felt about something that happened. This is actually extremely dangerous to be around, and it's also very hard to spot. If you're smart and emotionally mature, you also, of course, know that you're not perfect and you want to improve. So if this great friend or partner of yours points something out to you, your natural reaction is to listen to them. So if you suspect this is going on, one thing you can do is you can ask a friend or a family member what they think about the situation. Because you may have been gaslit, and by definition, that means that you're starting to question reality and yourself. The next one is called triangulation. I rarely hear about this, but it's actually very interesting. It essentially means dragging other people into whatever dynamic you have going on to mess with you. It can take many different shapes. It can be something like flirting in front of you, if this is your partner, to trigger an emotional response. It could also be like a brief mention of an ex who came by last night or who texted last night with no further explanation, and then just changing the topic just to freak you out. It puts you on your toes. It creates anxiety in you, and it makes you confused. This is sort of related a little bit to gaslighting, and the problem is, of course, that you start questioning, well, is it me? Is there something wrong with me? But this has to do with them controlling your emotions. They get a kick out of it. And of course, this can happen once or twice, and it's not necessarily a pattern, but it is, of course, the consistency. If this keeps happening again and again, then you can say this is a pattern in this person, so I may need to consider if this person is toxic. The next one is called emotional whiplash. This is also a high emotional volatility or borderline personality disorder pattern. It means essentially just that their mood swings so fast that you can't predict it. So it could be something like you get a cute little text from your new partner. Oh, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. I don't deserve you. And you go, oh, that's so sweet. But the very next night, you are busy doing something when you get a text from them. And after 30 minutes, you get a text that says, wow, I guess I don't matter to you anymore. And maybe you start scrolling through your messages and trying to figure out, what did you do that made you the villain all of a sudden? And again, you're left feeling that you did something right. After all, you hurt them, didn't you? Watch out for this and call it out when you see it. It's very challenging in a friendship, but it is downright destructive in a relationship. The next one is also interesting, entitled rule breaking. This is a psychopathic trait or an ASPD trait. It essentially means they don't feel rules apply to them, but they expect you to follow them. So it could be something like they lie to their job that they're sick and skip work, and then they brag about it to you. And then they get extremely mad at you if you have to cancel your dinner plans because you needed to be somewhere else. So it's essentially a double standard. And again, if this is a pattern, it highly implies that you're dealing with a toxic person. This one's tricky because I think we all have a little bit of this in us. And of course, what you need to watch out for is not it happening once or twice, but if it's a pattern. The last one is manufactured drama. This is sometimes associated with narcissistic traits, but it can also be associated with histrionic personality disorder, attention addiction, being addicted to attention. It essentially means that a person starts fights or makes problems out of nothing to feel important or in control, and they're often unaware of it. An example could be you're hanging out, everything's nice and chill, and then out of nowhere, something happened. Someone knocks over a mug or a plate falls to the ground, or the battery is dead, or whatever it may be, and they just become extremely upset and start yelling. Now the whole night is ruined, and they're acting like you owe them an apology, not necessarily by accusing you, but just by you not recognizing how absolutely horrible this is. And again, we can all have a bad day or night, but if this is a pattern, it highly implies that you're dealing with a toxic person. Now, as I made this list, I actually realized that I used to be married to a toxic person. She ticked maybe like 6 out of these 8 boxes. And I'm a psychology major, right? And it didn't even occur to me. So I hope this can help you identify this in other people. And finally, I just want to say, don't forget that we all have a little bit of these traits in us. It's only a problem if we score very high on one trait, it's very characteristic of us, or moderately high on 2 or more of them. When should you get the hell away from toxic people? Great question, and I'm about to answer that in a video very soon. The bad news? There's a lot I can't say in the videos I post here on YouTube, believe it or not. The good news, I say it all in the videos I upload to the Hard Love Theory group. If that sounds interesting to you, please join us there. It's free, link in the description. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Cheers.